Well, Gaffer, it's the FA Cup this weekend and a trip to Burnley. How much are you looking forward to this one?
I'm really looking forward to it. Great opportunity for the lads to go and express themselves. Premiership team. It's obviously going to be a very, very tough game. But really, my message to the players is, look, you might not got this opportunity again, so we're going to go there and have a go. Hopefully enjoy it and try and get through.
What do you have to do to get through?
We're going to have to play well, very well. You know, we can't carry anyone. It's as simple as that. When you go to a Premiership team, in particular, when you go to Burnley, we know what they're all about. We're going to have to do certain things right in terms of crosses and set pieces, but we have to go and at least try and express ourselves. That's the main thing I'm going to be getting over to the players, because you know, I've played against Premiership teams before where at the end of the game you think, well, we didn't really hurt them and we got beat, and it's a bit of a waste of a day. So I'd rather go there and have a bit of a go, and even if we got knocked out having a go at them, you know. So that's very much in the sort of front of my mind, and that's very much the message I'll be giving to the players. I think it's a good time to get a break from the league. Obviously the league form's not been, we've had a really bad Christmas, but I think there's still positives in the sense of, not the last 3 results obviously, but looking at the last 20 games, we're only 8 points off the top. We've got the top 2 to play at home, so there's still a lot of positive thoughts going into my mind in terms of the upcoming games and what's left in the league. But we turn our attentions to this one, and I think it is also a game where you can really take confidence from it and put that into the last bit of the season.
Everyone talks about other Premier League clubs and other Premier League managers and how well they've done, but Sean Dyche deserves a hell of a lot of credit for keeping Burnley in the top division.
He's done better than anyone in terms of, or right up there with the ones that have been winning the leagues, and Guardiola and people like that. He has to be, with the job he's done at a club like Burnley. To sustain it over such a long time, the longevity of it is the most impressive thing. And he's done a fantastic job. Very nice man. I've got on with him really well, and a lot of respect for him and his staff. So I look forward to seeing him. His team won't change, their attitude, their mentality. He'll have them at it. There's no chance of they're going to underestimate us. They'll be treating this like any other game. Obviously, you would have thought he might utilise his squad, which Premiership teams you would have thought they were going to do. But in terms of the job he's done, I've got the utmost respect for him.
I guess, like ourselves, they'll be looking for a win as well, because they had a defeat in the Premier League in midweek, and obviously you want to get a bit of consistency and continuity in your play. Yes,
we go into it, unfortunately, both teams on the back of 3 defeats. So, of course, the next game is always the most important one in terms of getting a bit of confidence and getting going again. And that's how we're looking at it. I'm sure that's how they'll look at it. But regardless of personnel or anything like that, he may keep what he feels his strongest team, and it shouldn't really. It's going to be very, very tough regardless. We have to make sure that we at least go and try and play the way we want to play.
Siriki Dembele obviously suspended. Has he spoken to you? Have you spoken to him in regards to the weekend?
No, I'll speak to him today, and I'll draw a line under it after that. I'm not going to hang him out to dry completely. I said what I said after the game, and I felt it was necessary to comment on it because I was asked about it, and it was indefendable. Unfortunately, I don't like doing it, but I had no choice. But it's not as if I'm going to continue doing it on a daily basis. It's done. I have to find out why it was done, and then I'll draw a line under it, and hopefully the boy learns.
Frankie Kent back from suspension, but given the performances of others, he may not get back into the team.
Well, this is that's one of the difficult decisions I've got to make. I thought the 2 centre-halves were very good against Lincoln, so generally when people come in and do well, it's difficult to change that. And again, a lack of discipline's cost Frankie's his place in the team, which may cost him his place against the Premiership team.
Could Frankie play in midfield? He's obviously got the ability to sort of come out from the back. Is he someone that has that versatility to his game?
Yes, he could play in front of the back 4, the 2 centre-halves in front of them. I'd have to do a lot of work on him because you receive the ball from different angles, and the way I want that position to be played, it's a vitally important position. So yeah, it is something that we feel he can do, but listen, the boy's a very good centre-half. He's a very good player. He will be a very, very good player. It's just a cost, unfortunate for him, a lack of discipline's cost him. And then a lack of discipline's cost us against Lincoln, and really I've got to make not an example, but I've got to make sure that I deal with that accordingly, because I can't have people losing discipline, or my team losing discipline when things are going wrong for us on the pitch, and that's clearly what's happened in the last 2 games.
transfer window, the phone's always ringing.
Yeah, I was busy last night, and I think, we've not been shy in what we're trying to do. We're trying to add in a couple of midfield players. We're very hopeful on one before the weekend, and we're always on the lookout for younger players that we feel we can develop. So nothing's changed. The philosophy of what we do in the recruitment hasn't changed. We've said from the start of the season we don't think, or we feel that we need to strengthen in that area. We've got to this point now, and obviously we can do something about that. And really what I'm looking at doing is, or what we're looking at doing as a club, is probably getting a couple of midfielders in, maybe a couple will go, maybe a younger player in that we can develop, and then we'll take it from there. And obviously we have to address if anyone leaves in terms of a Marcus or an Ivan. We would have to address that accordingly and try and replace them, or feel that my decision would be whether I can replace them within the current squad. But there's no panic about that. We're used to these situations, and we'll deal with everything in the right way.
George Boyd looking forward to his return?
Yeah, I just spoke to George because obviously physically I had to make sure he was okay, and I have to make sure that my own thoughts are I've got to remind myself that George isn't the one I had before. But he needs to get up to fitness because he's missed a large chunk of it. And in the game against Lincoln, in an ideal world, I probably wouldn't have started him, but I feel at the moment I needed to. So, but of course, he physically was short against Lincoln, but he thinks he'll be okay for the Burnley. I think it's important that we need to get him back up to speed, and he feels that himself. And hopefully 90 minutes against Burnley will really kick him on.
And obviously the game kicks off at 12:31 on Saturday as part of a mental health campaign. Obviously it's a minute of reflection, I think is how they've described it, and as footballers and as football people, you're in a stressful job, aren't you? Yeah,
it's a very stressful job, and as a manager it can be at times a very lonely job, but I think you go into it with your eyes wide open. I've been doing it long enough now. Obviously my background in terms of my father's, so maybe helped me a little bit in that sense, but I think the minutes reflection and awareness, it's become a lot more open and a lot more public with people, I think, as it should be. I think that is part of the problem, that if people have got these issues that they perhaps keep it to themselves, but I think the sort of public, how can the right word for it, in terms of the way that it's coming out more publicly is definitely helping, and I think it needs to. I think it's vitally important, because you're absolutely right. It can be a very stressful job, and I think it's important to talk to people at that point.
Is it actually more intense as a manager, because obviously you are looking after so many bodies, you have the pressure on you as well? Is it something that nothing can really prepare you for it until you're in it?
I don't think so, and I think as a manager you have to understand your role. My role is to look after my players and make sure I get the best out of them. That's my job, and to obviously win enough games of football. And generally, especially now, the way sort of social media and everything's sort of so much in the public image, I think you have to at times as a manager not ignore it, but you have to have belief in what you're doing. That's the most important thing, and not deviate too much away from that and start panicking. And I've got to make sure that I look after my players, especially in these tough times, and make sure we all stick together. That's always the most important thing as a manager.
And finally, in terms of team selection, anyone any closer from the game on New Year's Day?
Serhat should be available. We're looking at him being in the 18-man squad. Probably going to come a little bit too early for Fraser. Obviously, we've lost Ricky, he'll be fine. We're pretty certain on that. So, from the other day, the Lincoln game, Serhat and Ricky would probably come into it.